Four-way podcast, man. Yo, man. You already know it's Flizzy 317 of the Four-way podcast, man. Hey, we're not outside today, man. It's a little gloomy out there, so we had to get indoors real quick. Still, make sure you get outside and go touch some grass. You already know, sitting right here next to me is John D. Harris, actor, filmmaker. If you haven't yet, go and check out the last interview we did where we talked about his documentary about Black fatherhood, Missing Pieces 2. Great, film. You definitely want to check it out. How you doing today, my dog?
Doing well. How you doing?
Hey, I'm chilling, man. It's early morning,
Yeah.
I appreciate, getting out the house and coming to sit down with me for real.
Oh, no, man. It's always a pleasure, brother. Always. Good energy, good vibe.
Every time, man, my dog. I was about to say, so I wanted to sit down with you again because during the end of our last interview, we talked about your next documentary that you got in the works. Can you go ahead and speak on that a little bit, tell the people what it's about, refresh them a little bit?
Sure. So the next film that we're filming in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it's a film on maternal health. So the state of Indiana has the third highest mortality rate when it comes to women having babies, especially Black women. So with that being said, the disease is called preeclampsia.
Preeclampsia is also a serious condition in pregnancy throughout the world, and it remains significant in the United States. So what it is, it's a disease of high blood pressure, hypertension during pregnancy. It presents anytime 20 weeks or later in pregnancy, and a normal pregnancy is 40 weeks, and it can even present after delivery.
And there's a lot to it, though, because it deals with the issues of women, and not just women, women of color. Every woman suffers from it the majority of the time. Problem with Indiana is that they have, I call them medical deserts. So there are no clinics in certain areas. And, you could go to the north side, you'll find clinics. You can go to the west side, further west. Like you can go to counties like Avon and cities like Avon and all these other ones, you'll find them. But you don't see them in areas like Hallville. You don't see them in certain other areas. Like you can get it in the east, going east, but not on the west side. And I would be dismissed if I said it was set up like that. But a part of it is set up like that. The March of Dimes did an op-ed that I read. So the op-ed said that if you have a child in the state of Indiana, your child is 6 times more likely to die at birth.
That's insane. Oh, that's some insane numbers.
Yeah, but the other thing is the state of Indiana has the national average is like 6.3. Indiana 6.9 when it comes to giving women having birth, or whatever. And the thing that really struck me was that it's either the woman dies or the child dies. Somebody has to die, and so that's what the film is about.
And it's definitely, it's a more somber film than your last one. Your last one is still, it's a heart puller, but this one is like, it's just right in your face, and it's like,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So what caused you, because of course, it's keeping with the tone, you're speaking on how it affects, a majority of, Black women. So it's keeping with the tone, of speaking on issues in the Black community. But other than that, what caused you to want to make this documentary?
It's crazy you say that. Right when I started making the first one, and I'm sitting there, and I think I was just in a moment of quietness, and it's like you can hear God tell me, do a film on Black women's health, and I'm like, Black women's health, like I don't know nothing, and I'll just tell you today,
I ain't a Black woman.
that and yeah, like that's number one. Second, it's one of those things where as a man, that's something you're not really familiar with. You know, if you're not a doctor. Like, I didn't know nothing about this. I didn't.
So not to cut you off, but so you don't have any personal experience, or like, do you have any like family members maybe who have gone through this?
No, that's the other thing. Like, when I tell you, I'm like, how can I put this?
An outsider to it almost. Like.
Yeah, it's like I'm blind to this subject matter. It's and like I said, I'm sitting there, and I was working on the last film we did, and I just hear something says, do a film on this. It's like, okay, but what is this? When it comes to, what is it first and foremost? Like, I don't know. So I started digging, found out what the name of it was. I was like, oh, it's called Preeclampsia. It's like, okay. And then I started doing the research, and that's when I started to find, I've started to find out more information and the impact that it has on women of color. It's interesting because it's a life or death situation. And, so like I said, I didn't know nothing about it. I was just as blind as a blind man. I hate to put that term out there, but that's how I was. I was in uncharted territory.
And then, so while you're researching this, was there anything specifically that you can remember that kind of surprised you or shocked you the most about like what's going on behind preeclampsia and like how it affects, and then especially about how it affects Indiana massively?
Is there anything that stuck out to me? I think what stuck out to me was the numbers. Those are the facts. Facts don't lie.
Realizing how many people this affects.
Yeah.
And then like you said, you're blind to the fact of it, so to realize how many people it affects and then to be blind of it definitely has to be very shocking.
It was. I mean, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. Like, to look at this as a man, and I have a mom and sisters, and thank God none of them had to go through that. But to look at the numbers and the impact that it has on women, preeclampsia is the main subject, but it branches off into so many different other areas that impact women, and that's what really just made me really hone in and want to learn more about it. And I can't do anything. All I can do is what I'm doing.
Showcasing it and allowing, people to be able to be informed on the subject.
Yeah, absolutely, 110%.
So, do you, during all this process, you're in the middle of like, you've researched it, but you're still in the middle of like researching it with like first hands-on, experience, speaking to people, interviewing people.
Absolutely.
Is there any misconceptions that you feel people have about it, or that you might have had about it and then was informed on,
I think one of the misconceptions that I had was I thought it just, it affects all women. So I thought it was just a disease that affects, just certain women. But once I found out that the disease impacts Black women or African American women at a much higher rate, that speaks volumes to me, because it's almost as if we get overlooked, or it's not just women, Black women, some women, depends on your circumstances. If you have insurance, if you don't have it. I mean, I've interviewed women that had insurance, and literally the doctor just, wasn't engaged with them when they were, when they were doing their checkup. So, it impacts all women, but one of the things, like I said, that, what really blows me away is the numbers that you find out, and then you find out that they're in certain areas. So
and then you start, connecting the dots, and then definitely, there's a massive history of, people of color being, getting the short end of the stick, as far as like, science goes and medically, like there were books written about black people that are, highly just falsified, and it was specifically to demean the black people. So when you hear about this disease that highly affects black people, it's also like kind of makes you like, why is this not talked about more? Why is, this not discussed and put on the forefront for the world to see it? It makes you, question, for me, like it makes you question like the hospitals and like what's being taught medically for the doctors. Because like, of course, like a doctor, they only think they're doing the best they can do. But that's because of what they were taught. So then it makes you go back to like, well, who taught this person that this was the best that they could do in a way?
Right. So one of the things I've learned is this, that doctors are not healers. They're physicians. So physicians are taught to treat the symptoms, not to heal. So there's a difference. If you was in the line, if you was in the occupation of healing people, is one thing. But when you rely on science and medicine, and that's what it is. Doctors rely heavily on science and numbers, but trying to heal somebody is one thing. And so I think we put a lot of emphasis on the doctors because they went to school to do this, to do that. But can you trust your doctor's opinion? Sure. But you also have to be an advocate for yourself. In other words, you have to fight for your rights, or fight for your life when you're in those rooms. And, sometimes the doctor doesn't pay attention to what you're saying.
No, genuinely, I was about to say, and then, there's a lot of proven history. Like once upon a time, it was, believed to be a conspiracy that doctors were like purposely allowing black people to be infected with syphilis, or to give them syphilis or not treat the syphilis. And then years later you come out like, no, that was completely true.
Yeah.
They were experimenting on the black community, and they allowed this to progress for so long to where now it's like, now we're just we got the short end of the stick. We're just, in lack of better words, fucked out here on that point. And then that's also, it goes to show how, a lot of people don't want to go to the doctors. Yeah. I know a lot of black men definitely like, uncles and my own father even, who like just, not out of fear mostly, but just out of like misconception and miseducation, didn't understand what was going on, and like was hoping that this doctor was going to heal him. But then it's like, no, you got to, work for yourself too.
Yeah.
You got to, exercise, eat right. Can't just sit here and take these pills they're giving you and think that you can like not do right,
Right. Well, here's the thing that, we got to understand is that they prescribe pills, and if you look closely enough, they're telling you, like, if you take this, here are the side effects. If you take that, then you got to take something else to offset that, and then you got to take something else to offset that. So it's a constant. It's a constant thing of you just taking pills.
Yeah, it's just a cycle, because like, all right, I gave you this pill for your leg hurting, but that pill that fixed your leg is gonna make your back hurt. So now I gotta give you a pill for your back. And like, so speaking on that goes, I believe, a lot of like Dr. Sebi's, of course, I believe in like a lot of his teaching and stuff, definitely just based on like the way he was overlooked. And like, for instance, whenever they speak on like how he would cure cancer in a way, and it's like, he's not sitting here he didn't create one little like pill that you take to cure cancer. He created a lifestyle that as long as you live that lifestyle, it will cure your cancer.
Right.
Like if you go through and you look where he says like, there's just certain meats you're not supposed to eat, you're not supposed to smoke, or you're not supposed to drink.
Right.
And it's been proven in his case studies that he was able to cure people's cancer by having them live this lifestyle. But of course, everybody goes to the whole like, oh, well, he created a cure, so then it's like, all right, well then where's his cure?
Right.
It's like, no, the cure is in the teachings and the lifestyle that he was trying to tell people to live.
No, that of course. I mean, that's the thing. It's a lifestyle. It's not one of those things where stuff is gonna happen overnight. It's one of those things where you have to change how you eat, what you eat. You have to exercise. So it's just a whole bunch of things that you have to do, because we're talking about the individual's health. One of the things that I learned about preeclampsia is that it causes high blood pressure. So a lot of times the Black community, that's one of the areas that we struggle with, high blood pressure. You're stressed out. You're stressed about being able to provide. You're stressed out about, am I going to be able to, find a job? So all of those things that, impact the mom is right there. And so sometimes I think women, stay in situations, I think everybody does, stay in situations that they shouldn't be in. But, unfortunately, it becomes the norm. And my question is, why does that become a norm for people? That's not normal. You got to find a place or find a space where you can get centered and get the help that you need. A lot of times Black women miss appointments. Like, you having a child, you can't afford to miss appointments because that baby is relying on you, while he's in your stomach. You got to make sure he's getting the proper nutrients. And sometimes, because of our experiences in the hospital, we don't want to go back. But don't let that one or two times change your mind about going, if that makes any sense. Follow up on what you're supposed to do.
And get checkups and stuff like that. Like, no, definitely.
Get the checkups.
So, how do you go about approaching filming something with such something that's just so sensitive, in subject matter? Like, whenever you're sitting down with these women, I watched a couple of the clips you sent me, and it's very deep moments for them. They're talking about something, very heavy. How does that affect you, and how do you go about doing that with?
It's a great question. How does it affect me? It has an impact because, you're looking at somebody, you're doing your interview, and you're asking this person to become vulnerable. Not only just being vulnerable, but there's a sense, like you said, it's very sensitive. So how do you separate all of that so that person can give you the information that you need, and also give you the information that you need, but also come across as genuine as possible. So you build that comfort level in that interview. Like, sometimes what I'll do is I'll call and we'll do it like a soft interview where so they can get comfortable with me, I can get comfortable with asking questions. And so that's a lot of times, that's one of the processes I do, is that I make sure that, I'll let them know, hey, this is how this is. These are some of the questions we might ask. And if there's something that you don't want to answer, just let me know.
Yeah.
So it's basically
either say it on the spot, or like you let them know, like, hey, like, if there's any of these questions, like, okay.
Yeah, and normally after you spoken with them for a few minutes, sometimes the conversation lasts 30, 40 minutes. You kind of developed a relationship with them, like, oh, okay, she's okay, she's cool. She's easy to talk to. So, and that's always been my, because I understand what it is that we're talking about. And, you know, talking to a man is different, way different than talking to a woman. Women seem to be more comfortable with women talking to them versus, you know, talking to a man. I remember I was talking to someone and I told him, I told him what I was doing. We had a conversation. I was like, oh, I'm down here filming. And they said, well, what you filming? I said, a movie about Black women's health. And the first reply was, why you? And I said, what do you mean? She was like, well, why you? You're a man. And I'm like, y'all tell stories about us. How come we can't tell stories about you guys?
No, definitely.
You know, and that's the thing is, and I understood what she was asking, but I also understood that as a man, that you can't tell me how to be a woman. And just like she can't tell me how to be a man. So I understand that part of it. But for me, the overall message is, let me get this out. Let's push this out. Let me get this message out. And that's all it is. I'm just a messenger.
You know, they like to shoot the messenger.
Yeah, I love. Don't shoot me. Just pray for me. Just pray for me. I'm cool.
So when having these discussions with these ladies, were there any moments that like changed the way you see childbirth and women's health in this process that you're going through?
And looking at it from a male perspective, yeah. Because a lot of times women going into these doctor's visits by themselves. That's what changed me as a man. And I'll just speak from experience. I tried to there were certain appointments that I did not make with my son's mom. But for the most part, I was at every appointment. And if I wasn't, I made sure I called her and got, because I made
updates on it. You made sure that you were attentive.
Right.
And so that she didn't, even if she did have to go alone, she didn't have to feel alone.
Exactly. And so, I was fortunate because I remember my son, when he was born with jaundice. And so, most kids, when they're born, they have this thing called not meconium. So it looks like tar, but it's actually poop coming out of their system. But it comes out, and so in my son's case, his was not breaking down as fast as it should. So they put him under, it's called a bilirubin light. And it looks like a light purple light that I don't know how it works, but it softens the meconium in the system, in the child's system, and allows it to flow out. So one of the things that really got me was, and I'll never forget this, is that the count. That's a measure of, there's a level that in his system that his but his body has to be able to break down the meconium at a certain level. So if it's down in the like 12, 1300s, that's the normal. Anything above 20, I think it's 23 or 2400, they do what they call a blood exchange. So they pull the blood out and recycle it and put it back in your kid's system.
And did he have to go through this?
No.
Okay.
Luckily, it like he was in NICU for like almost 10 days. And I just remember going through that. And I remember I remember leaving and going outside and just crying. And like I was sobbing. Because I'm like, God, what is happening with my son? This stuff, And the funny thing is, we caught it just in time because we were sitting there watching, my son was sleeping, and I don't know if you have kids or not.
I got nieces and nephews. I've been...
Right. So during that age, when they first born, they stay awake. They're awake a lot. My son was asleep. He slept. I'll never forget this. He slept like 8 hours straight when he was an infant.
That's definitely not normal.
And that's not a good sign. So we rushed him out to the hospital. you know, and the hospital we took him to was one of the top. They had one of the top NICU departments in the state of California. And so we rushed him, and luckily the hospital was only like 30 minutes away. In LA, that's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it was 30 minutes, I'll just say 30 miles away, if that. But I remember us getting him in there, and they told us, they said, had y'all not got him in here, he wouldn't be here. So that right there just changed everything for me. You know, I've always stayed on top of my health, but watching my son go through what he went through and just seeing him, and then, you know, they put needles in his head and things of that nature. Like he had.
So it's just like, I imagine it was very traumatic.
It was. I mean, it was. Like, I remember calling my mom, and I was like, I was sobbing at her. I was like, he got jaundice. And my mom, being the woman she is, she was on the other end of the phone. And all she said was, that's normal. So I'm like,
she trying to, you know, keep it as calm as possible.
Right. And I'm sitting there like, yo, but he has this, you know, all this stuff going on. Boy, that ain't nothing. And the crazy thing about it is, so my son, when he was born, he came out like a bright orange. Mm. So that's what it does. It's that when that.
Because jaundice is when your kidney, your liver's not processing it, so it's keeping the toxins in your body.
Yeah, and that's what meconium is. It's just a toxin that you know, it's you know, it looks like tar, and you know, but it's supposed to pass through when your child is born. But if it doesn't pass through, these are, you know, what I was describing was some of the complications that you'll have to, you know, that comes with that if that meconium doesn't pass through.
I thank you for, you know, opening up with that story. That was definitely very deep.
No.
So when I want to change the subject a little bit. So has there ever been like any challenges you faced so far? Because I know you've interviewed a lot of doctors, but trying to get them to you know, open up per se about different things in the medical field. Because I know like a lot of the times with doctors and whatnot, it can be not like, you know, a secrecy, but it's just like they don't, you know, open up and explain certain things sometimes, especially, you know, sensitive subjects like this.
Well, here's what I've learned is, depending on the doctor, they're going to give you, a lot of their answers are technical answers because that's what they went to school for. It's up to the individual to ask the difficult questions. It's up to that patient to ask the questions because the doctor don't know. He goes by what you've been diagnosed with. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know the ins and outs of how your body works. So you the one that have, and that's what I was saying earlier, you know, we don't, you know, in this, dealing with this subject, you know, with this disease, a lot of times women go to the doctors and the doctor will tell them, said, no, ain't nothing wrong. No, you push hard, you push back hard. It's like, no, I ain't feeling well. I'll tell you a prime example. Serena Williams went through this. And literally it almost took her out.
She had preeclampsia?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and she went through the same thing with her firstborn. And the crazy thing is, she kept telling the doc, like, and you know, she kept telling her doctor, like, I don't feel, something ain't right, I'm not feeling right. And so what ends up happening is, and that's the thing where a lot of times I think as women, black women, and I'm not saying, you know, I don't know it all, but what I do know is my experience going into the doctor.
Yeah, you can only speak on your experience.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, you have to fight. You have to fight. Don't leave that room until he does what he's supposed to do. You know?
Don't accept what they're gonna say. If you feel like, you know, nah, I want get a second opinion, definitely get a second opinion.
Like there's a young lady I met that, you know, we getting ready to interview. She told me, you know, they sent her same scenario. She in there and the doctor's like, nah, you know, ain't nothing wrong. Here, go home, take some, you know, it's like I always use this analogy. They tell her go home, take a couple of Tylenol or whatever, pain to go away. And my analogy is it's like putting a Band-Aid over a shotgun. If I'm telling you I'm hurt, you know, and the pain is so intense, then find out what's going on.
No, definitely. And there's a lot of times I feel like but black people do get overlooked in these hospitals. And like, so for instance, I used to go to hospital visits with my father, and I remember so many times he would like talk to the doctor, and the doctor would speak so fucking fast, like so fast to him. And then he'd be like, well, nah, something going on with my right knee. He'd be like, yeah, but have you been taking your medicine? All right, so no, if you're taking your medicine, you're gonna be perfectly fine. It's like, he's not listening at all. He's trying to hurry up and get you out of here because he got 4 more patients to come in, and then he got a round of golf he's trying to go play. So you're on literally the bottom of like his schedule and things that he really gives a damn about.
No, absolutely, man. It's a travesty, in my opinion, when you have insurance, but yet even your insurance doesn't mean you're gonna get quality care.
No, definitely. Here in America, if you're not somebody of importance, if you're not making a sustainable living, like, that's why, a lot of people I feel like are afraid of hospitals, because you're literally seen as like, because they know like, all right, I'm not making enough money off you. The doctor knows it. As soon as you come in, you show them that insurance, they look up your insurance policy, they're like, man, I can't get no money out of these motherfuckers. Like, that's you get dropped to the bottom of the list. It's like, all right, bro, get them some pills, man. Give them something to, take home with them, and then go figure that out later. Like, come back to us if anything else hurts.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate, it's unfortunate, I'll say that, we are, sometimes overlooked. But then, like I said, that's the reason why, you have to fight. And sometimes it's not, and here's the thing about it, it's not a physical fight. It's a verbal fight. Like, I'm trying to get you to understand and see me as a human being. Like, if I'm hurting, I ain't coming to see you because I'm not hurting. I came to see you because I'm in pain. Now, I might not be able to articulate it the way you want me to, because a lot of times doctors articulate by what they read in books. I get it, or not just books, but what they encountered, going through the steps to get to where they are. But when you dealing with all walks of life, everybody doesn't say, here's one thing I've learned, everybody doesn't speak the same. There's some people that are very great at articulating and saying, what this is, what's wrong. But then you have some that don't articulate it very, very well. But at the end of the day, I'm a human being. Treat me like I'm a human being, and understand that I am here for a reason. I'm not coming here to play. And the other issue is, why people don't go is because of bad experiences. Like, and I understand that to a degree, like, who wants to go to the hospital?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to like to go to Riley's because they had the hot chocolate little machine that you get.
Yeah.
But man, trying to get me up in the hospital now, it's like, bro, I gotta be dying in this motherfucker.
Like, right, exactly. But again, the hospital experience it's a hospital. You don't go in there and expect it to think you're on a merry-go-round. But seriously, you don't go there because you think you're gonna get a ride on the merry-go-round. You go over there to find out what's wrong with you physically. And the other thing about it is and what it does to you mentally, which emotionally it tears you down because nobody wants to hear bad news. But at the same time, if you do what you're supposed to do and you follow the doctor's orders, and you'll find out that the outcome is a lot better. Unfortunately, we live in a society where now that they're trying to make all these changes, which is unfortunate, but somehow, some way, as a woman and you're going through this, or you facing this because it's an uphill battle, make sure that you question you have a right to question your doctor. Don't back down. And the other thing is, whoever the baby's father is, make sure he's there with you, because she needs that support system. She might not get it at home. She might not get it with her sister, family or whatever, but she needs somebody. And it's one thing to have a woman in there, but when you got a male presence and he's standing firm and secure in his manhood, you'll get the answers that you need.
No, definitely. And I like the development from the first project to this one, because it's like, all right, you spoke on, the fatherhood, and then now you're speaking on this, but it also entails like you need the fatherhood in there. Like, you need a father in there, because they're, like you said, they're gonna ask those questions where, like, the mother's probably, she's already pregnant, she's tired, she's stressed out, so she's gonna accept what they're saying. Whereas like a father, he ain't pregnant, he got questions, and y'all playing in this motherfucker because you ain't, we ain't asked y'all that. This is what we asked you, and explain this to us, because why the hell is this like this? Like, definitely, that's dope.
Again, like I said, you have that right to ask. So, you have that right to ask, and don't let nobody take that away from you. Because a lot of times we're afraid of the language, the big words.
Yeah, when they start saying something like, you don't understand, it's like,
exactly.
And you don't want to look dumb or make yourself feel dumb in a way.
Exactly.
So you sit here and fake like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like,
yeah. And so one of the things is, and here's a crazy question. And I learned this a long time ago. Sometimes if I don't understand, speak to me in layman's terms. In other words, speak to me in just general conversation.
Yeah, don't explain it in the way that it's written in the book.
Exactly.
Explain it to me in your own words, real quick.
Yeah.
And even if your own words are the way it's written in the book, break it down even further.
Exactly. But again, like I said, a lot of times, men, we don't go with our girlfriends or, our lady friends or our wives to the hospital when we should be there, because these are decisions you're making, you're bringing a child into the world that the child didn't ask to be brought in.
No, literally.
And so don't run from the responsibility of bringing a child in. He didn't ask to have the complications. She didn't ask to be, this is what this is. I didn't ask for that.
My bad.
I didn't, there are things that, sometimes I think people just, overlook. Like, you don't need me there. Yeah, you do need to be there.
Literally. And like, not even it's not as if she needs you there. It's the fact that you just should be there. Like, she shouldn't have to need you in this situation. You should just want to be there in this situation.
Exactly.
Like, even if she's going on a simple checkup where they sit here and do an ultrasound and just got to make sure the baby's positioned correctly.
Exactly. Yeah.
You should want to be in that room and see what's going on for the whole process, to understand what's going on with your child that you have created.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I think, once you see that, I think, and I don't know if it's, let me say this, I don't know if it's men don't want to take the responsibility. I don't know. Every man is different, just like every woman is different. I don't know. I just know, for me, I made sure I was there. Come hell or high water. I was there during that whole birthing process. Even when, and the funny thing is, I used to watch TV, and, they show the child being born, how men pass out. That is so far from the truth. I get it. Some men don't like blood. I get it. But for me, it just made me appreciate my son's mom even more. You know what I mean? And I say that because you were able to push a human being out into a world that they know nothing of. And it's a beautiful experience. I'll put it that way.
I imagine, like, probably, whenever it's your own child. I remember I was 12 or 13, I want to say. This is about 9 years old. I would say about like 12 or 13. My oldest sister, she was pregnant. And I remember her and my mom were like, my mom's trying to take you through the whole process. And they're in the kitchen and they're watching a video of the birthing process. I'm just being, nosy and shit. So I'm like, nah, like, let me see what's going on. Like, my mom keeps telling me, like, nah, like, there's no reason for you to even see them. Like, let me see what the hell going on. So they step away from us. I look. I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to throw up. Like, I wanted.
Right.
I swear to God, because I was, but mind you, I'm 12 or 13 at the time.
Right.
And I was a wild sight to see.
Yeah, no, it is. Again, like
to say the least.
Yeah, but it like I said, it's one of those things that once you get older and you mature, it's not as bad as it appears to be.
I mean, yeah, and that's why I said, like, especially like if it's your own child, it's a special process because that's your child coming into the world. Like, if you're just watching, like myself, you're a 14-year-old boy watching some random woman give birth.
Yeah,
there's no special needs, like,
Yeah, and like I said, the bigger issue is, and I think that, and I said this again, that men should be right there, like go through the whole process. One of the things I learned is people like the results. They don't want to go through the process. They don't like the process. I was
gonna say, hey, I got the clip of that when you said that.
Yeah, and that's just true. I mean,
and it aligns for a lot more, like a lot of things, like multitude of things.
Oh yeah, no, that's just life, And I'll tell you. Here's a quick story I'm gonna tell you. So, I came in Indianapolis one time, meet this young lady. She says, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "I work in film production." "Well, what part of it?" So she's probing to see where I'm at. It's like, I just, I work in film production. Film production covers a multitude of. There's a PA, there's a showrunner, there's a writer, camera. So it covers a multitude. And she studied probing. And I said, okay. I said, I'm a film director. Oh, what film you shoot? And then it got to the point, can I be in your next film? And it's just like, yo, yeah, you can be in it, but are you good enough to be in it?
Literally.
Yeah, you might come across great over the camera. Depends, But again, it's that thing of asking questions, And a lot of times, as we don't want to never ask questions because, like you said earlier, we don't want to, we don't want to look like we don't know. But here's the crazy thing: is there's no such thing as a stupid question. A question is a question.
If you're misinformed and you want to be informed.
Ask the question.
Yeah.
Ask that question. I'd rather ask the question than not ask. I don't want to, for me, when my son was being born, I made sure I didn't want to walk out of there not knowing. So like you said, I stayed informed, even to this day. It's like, hey, you okay? Is he okay? Like that was, And so, like I said, I think, as men, we got to step up a little. We got to step up even harder, especially nowadays. Black women are more inclined to die while giving birth. So why not be there for that whole birthing process? Go in that room, ask the questions. They might be difficult. If they talking over your head, tell the doctor that, hey, do me a favor, explain it so I understand it. So I'll know what, so I'll understand it and I'll walk away informed.
I ain't got to go do some more research.
Right. I mean, here's the crazy thing. Even do your research still. Because you want, because of all, with preeclampsia, like if she has urine in her, what they call placenta, she could die.
Same.
If she has high blood pressure, she could die. So it's a whole bunch of things that could kill that woman. So as a man and as a newborn father, you have to make sure that you stay ahead of the game and being not reactive but being proactive. What can I do? What can I do to stop you from stressing? What is it that you need to eat? The doctor said don't do this. Do what they do. Do what they tell you to do, but at the same time, make sure that you are making your appointments, that you're not drinking alcohol, that you're not smoking cigarettes, doing all of that. Because sometimes, and this I learned, that the people that smoke, they're smoking because it curbs the appetite. But you ever notice when they stop smoking, they balloon up?
Yeah.
That's why. It's the nicotine in the system, whatever it is, it sends a message to the brain, this false information, like you are full and you're not. But again, this is a sensitive subject. They're bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah, it's being brought to the light now.
But at the same time, like, how many babies died? How many mothers died before now this disease that women suffer from now is getting the attention that it deserves. But the flip side of that is they don't really, and I'm not saying that I know it all, because I don't. I think it's more about making sure that as a woman or as a man, you make sure that she goes and does what she's supposed to do, and you're right there with her throughout the whole process.
Yeah, man, make sure I listen to this. So, I want to, kind of change it a little bit. So if policymakers and healthcare leaders, were to sit down and watch this film, what are some things that you want them to take from this and go about differently?
Policymakers.
So if anybody important that has the hand
change the
to
laws.
Change it, yeah.
Change the laws. That's one thing. Laws have to be changed, and I think one other thing is that is change the laws, make this law an important issue. We're talking about kids being born. We're not talking about if Tommy fell and broke his ankle or whatever. We're talking about a human being, a life that deserves the opportunity to be able to experience what this world has to offer. So one of the things I would say would change, make this important. Give the ladies or give the women the attention that they deserve. A lot of times people don't pay attention until it hits their doorstep.
Until it impacts them personally.
Yeah, exactly. And so change the laws. The healthcare laws need to be changed. Change it so that the mom gets the proper care that they need. Because a lot of times insurance company won't cover certain things. Change that. The other thing I would I think should be brought to the forefront is that, and I'll probably get slapped in the face for saying this, but I'm going to say it. I feel like that when doctors get too familiar or get too comfortable with the way they do things, have them be retested. Have them be retested over a period of years, and then if they meet the requirements, it's just like, unfortunately, it's like going to school. If they ask you to take the SAT and you fall below the minimum requirement, then, they make you retake it again. So have that, think about that from that perspective. And also, if you don't like the doctor that you have every right to go ask for somebody else. So you ain't always got to take what he says. Get you somebody that you're comfortable with, and develop that relationship. And eventually, once you develop that relationship, you're almost guaranteed it's like having a big sister or a bigger brother that understands what you're going through.
And that really cares.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so in the same way, we talk about the policy. As far as like the audience, when people sit down, they take the time and they watch this, what is something you want them to take away from this or be informed on?
What I would want them to take away from this is health is wealth. Be healthy, because then you understand it. Sometimes you gotta go outside the norm to get the kind of care that you need, or to make sure your body is taken care of. Take good care of your body. Here's the one thing a friend of mine told me, that you only get one shot at life. Make the best out of it. Be the best human being that you can be. Understand that you're not out there by yourself. And the other thing is, find support. Because there are a lot of times they have support groups for a lot of things that, that we deal with as human beings. Find a support group. If your man don't want to come, then by all means find a group that's going to give you that. And but do your best to make sure he stays included. Because you don't want to feel like you're out there on that island by yourself.
No, that's definitely true. And then what's next for you in life, and then just in project wise, like as far as what you got going on, like other than doing this film, do you have aspirations for future films? Do you see this becoming a series, like the way you're touching on a lot of hard hitting points here in America, and then especially here in Indiana alone? Like, where do you see yourself taking all of this?
Man, I want to take it as far as it'll go.
As far as you take it?
Yeah. The other thing is, what else am I working on? What's next? That's a great question. I'm actually in the process of getting ready to start working on a play.
A play? So it's definitely, from the documentary to a play, it's a little
this is
changing.
Yeah, it is. It's out of my wheelhouse, I would say. I'm gonna say this: it ain't out of my wheelhouse, but it is.
Do you have a idea or a theme for this play yet, or is it just,
not yet? It's just
you just know that you want to make a play. You're talking to the right people to make sure you set that up.
Yeah, no, it's a play, but it's not one of those ones that you would go see at a big theater. It's probably gonna be something small and intimate. Like I'll say, they have what they call in the theater arena, what they call black box theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So black box theaters are small and intimate. It's like you're almost like right there in the person.
Yeah, you got like a 100-person room instead of like
less
3
than
or 4.
that.
Oh, so like a 20-30-person room.
Yeah, 50.
So like because in my mind when I think about that, I think about smaller comedy clubs.
Yeah, like a real small
30-seater.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, but the play that I'm going to do, I'm hoping that it's impactful.
So you wanna keep aligned with what you've already been doing. You're not gonna like go make a musical.
No. That's I don't know nothing about.
So you want it to be more of like an educational.
Not so much
entertaining.
Not so much educational, but more so along the lines of
thought provoking.
Yes, that's if I couldn't put it. I couldn't put it no better than what you said. Thought provoking and engaging.
Something that keeps you interested and makes you like question what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, this 4-Way podcast. This is your boy Flizzy 317. Got John D. Harris, man. Make sure y'all go tap in. Go check out Missing Pieces 2 on YouTube. And then be on the lookout for this play that's coming up and this Preeclampsia documentary. All of this is being done right here in Indianapolis, Indiana, man. You already know what it is, and we out.
Peace.